Right, cool. Recording. Excellent. Woof. Hey everyone, it's Josh here from Easy Crypto Hunter. We're going to do a CEO React. So obviously now I've been in the crypto space for many years here in the UK, and have been really lucky to have been involved in some pretty high level stuff, particularly with the government and some advisory stuff and some home office stuff and stuff with the EU, as well as, of course, as running one of the big crypto mining companies here in the UK. So hopefully I'd like to think that I know one or two things about the space. The guys and the video team have effectively going to throw some tabs in my face. I have no idea what's going to come, and I'm going to do my initial reactions to these stories to see what's going on, what's the kind of details behind the headline. Is it just hype? Is there more to it than meets the eye? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it ugly? Is it different? So this should be quite fun, should be quite interesting to kind of see what some of these are. So I have no idea what's coming. If you think this is going to be a fun little adventure to take us on and hopefully get a bit more in-depth behind the curtain knowledge of what's really going on behind the headlines, then if you want to give us a little like on this video and a subscribe down below, we're going to have loads more of this content coming towards you to help you understand the crypto space in a bit more detail. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it, and let's see what the first article is. So let's have a little look what they have for me. So let's go. So first thing is okay, what do we have here? So the flash crash, Bitcoin price slides 1.4k in minutes. So my first reaction to this, so whenever you get this news, so CoinDesk, really reputable place for information. It's a great site. Lots of you should check that out if it's something that you want to do. But here, Bitcoin suffered a price drop of $1,400 in about an hour on Sunday. May have caught traders off guard, forcing out the buying pressure from the market. So what this kind of comes in relation to is, of course, everyone might focus on this, and if you haven't been paying attention to the crypto space for the last couple of weeks, it would be very easy for you to pretty much go, oh crap, the market's fallen $1,400 in an hour. Oh my goodness, Bitcoin, it's so volatile, it's so this, it's so that. So immediately looking at the article, it kind of looks quite negative. But what this article doesn't give any context to is the fact that actually the crypto market in the last 2 weeks has gone from pretty much $9,000 all the way up to $12,000, and it was when it hit $12,000, well, actually just above $12,000, that we slid back down to $11,000 in a very short period of time. So anyone that's held Bitcoin over the last 2 weeks has made an exceptional amount of money, some very nice gains there. So yes, this is a very valid point. It was to do with the orders being filled and the CME gaps and some technical trading aspects as to why the price kind of nosedived so quickly. So on the surface, if someone saw this article without any context of the last few weeks, it looks terrible. In reality, this is just the nature of the way that the market's moving crypto, and actually behind the doors of this, I'm just seeing, again, it's a kind of zoom out thing. I don't really care if Bitcoin lost $1,000 in an hour. There's loads of opportunities to make money there if you understand shorting and trading and all that good stuff. But for the average person in the crypto space, not really an issue, because it's gone up pretty much $3,000 in the last 2 weeks. So if we go 3 steps forward and 1 step back, that's still 2 steps forwards in my book. And of course, these markets go up and down all the time, as we are aware. $1,000 in an hour, yep, that's quite a lot. It'll happen again. It's happened before. Doesn't really worry me too much. So perfectly accurate headline in this case, but without knowing the context of the market over the last few weeks and a month, it looks much scarier than it actually is. That would be kind of my take. So what else do we have here? So what is the second thing the boys have got for me? Again, I think this is related to the same article. So fills new futures gap as it heads to 12,000. So I think, again, this is all to do with the price retesting and people having a lot of energy now as the market is turning bullish finally for a long time. Since 2017, obviously it's been in pretty much a bit of a slump, and there's been individual coins that have done very well in that period of time, but the market's now on technical basis is starting to turn a corner, and it's looking like this could be a really interesting setup moving forward. So again, it's all very positive, as you can see here. So the price is targeting 11,500, moving up. So really exciting stuff. So inevitably, when a lot of you watch this back in 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and you're seeing these prices now, hopefully you're all looking at me going, well, this video is outdated because now Bitcoin's $25,000.
I have to tell you about the future!
That would be nice, and I hope that happens. So hello everyone in the future. I very much hope these prices look ridiculous and you've all made lots of money along the way. But this is where we are today. It's starting to look positive and the future's looking quite bright. So that's quite a nice sentiment for moving forward. So let's move on to the next little article that we've got. What on earth is this? Okay, more of the same. It's more of the same. It's just the Bitcoin prices and the history here that we can see. So I've moaned on about it enough already. The price has moved really nicely up over the last couple of weeks. So as you can see here, we've gone from pretty much we've had a big period of stagnation here, just around the $9,200 mark. And then all of a sudden everybody woke up and we went from $9,000 just to peak out here around $12,000 as we do. So I think even $12,800 we may have peaked up to on this chart here. So some really interesting numbers, which is great. So let's move on through. So 5 years since its launch, Ethereum creating a new boom. So this is a really interesting topic at the moment. Ethereum has kind of been mulling around in the background. There's been lots going on here. So this is really talking about Ethereum, DeFi, and ICOs. So I can give you a little bit of history on that as my personal perspectives. So really, Ethereum has been around for a long time now. It's, the second biggest coin by market cap for a vast majority of the time that it's existed. It's a really great project. There's not really much bad to say about Ethereum. Of course, there's ways in which it can be improved, and that's happening all the time. And one of the ways in which that's happening is with the onset of Ethereum 2.0. So without kind of blowing your head with all the technicals, effectively Ethereum is a brilliant thing, and as the crypto space expands, we need more ability to do things with Ethereum. We need to be able to have faster transactions, we need to be able to do more things with it. It needs to be faster, more secure, just generally better in every way. And that's really what Ethereum 2.0 is trying to do in simple terms. So as we're moving towards that, and the network gets more and more advanced and more intelligent, what we've found is there's now been micro sectors of Ethereum, or certain products that have been built on Ethereum, which are doing really well. So this is one of the misconceptions that people have. A lot of people think, or they've heard of Bitcoin. I'm sure a lot of you watching have certainly heard of Bitcoin, and you think, well, great, Bitcoin's a payment coin, I can use it to buy stuff, and you'd be right. And people make the presumption that the other coins in the market are all trying to be the same thing, and that's not the case. Ethereum is effectively, the office is going mad, which is a good sign for everyone as the markets move forward. The phone rings a lot, which is great. But Ethereum effectively is a smart contract protocol where we're able to do some really cool stuff with it. So when people ask me to explain what this is in really simple terms, I kind of break it down to, it's not quite this, so all the technical people out there, don't hate me in the comments, but in really simple terms, I like to think of Ethereum as a little bit like an operating system like Windows or Mac. You can basically build really cool things on top of it. So on Microsoft, for example, you can have Microsoft Word Processor, which is an application which is built on top of Word, which does really cool stuff for Word documents. That's kind of what Ethereum's like. It's a baseline technology, and other people can use the features of that to build some really cool things on top. So that's why Ethereum is a really interesting coin, because it kind of opens up the doors for other people to use that technology to do loads of really cool things. So one of the sectors of the cool thing, so not a cool thing in itself, but a type of new cool thing that's being done, is this thing called DeFi. It's a big buzzword in crypto at the moment, called Decentralized Finance. And effectively, again, in a nutshell, what that means is Ethereum has something called a smart contract, or a smart contract built in it, which pretty much it does what it says on the tin. So instead of a contract with maybe me and you and a pen and paper, we kind of rely on each other to do what we're going to say. With a smart contract, the algorithms only let things happen when something else has already happened. So if X happens, Y happens automatically. And that's a really big advantage for the modern business world, because if we can guarantee something's going to happen when something else does, we can do some really cool things on the back of that. So decentralized finance is basically using that technology to be able to move forward in that space by having some really cool financial applications. So different types of trading, different types of leveraging money, different types of sell options, you know, and it gets quite complicated. There's lots of different projects out there, but it's a really, really cool space. And as Ethereum is the basis of all of this, we're now seeing, as individual sectors within Ethereum do really well, we're seeing the whole Ethereum network benefit as a consequence of this. And it's a really, really exciting time. So Ethereum is booming, lots of great things are happening there. The network is moving through. So in 5 years old, we've got some great things happening there. You know, DeFi, the new ICOs. Is DeFi driving Ether's price? We've got some information here about this. And again, many things come and go, but the sector that is now decentralized finance within Ethereum is probably going to be here to stay in some form or another, with loads of exciting iterations along the way. So we've talked about Ethereum a lot, so we'll move on to the next thing. So what do we have here? Let's see. We have, again, so this is somewhat related to Ethereum. 90% of Ethereum supply is now in profit. So I think in a nutshell, what that's really saying is, obviously since Ethereum first started and all the Ethereum that's been mined now, 5 years later, 90% of all of those coins, if you sold them today, you would be in profit. So yes, there are going to be 10% of people that have lost money on Ethereum now, because Ethereum obviously went up crazy prices to $1,500 in the bull run in 2017. But for 90% of people, you're going to have made money if you had Ethereum at some point over the past 5 years, which is pretty damn good going as far as investments go. So that's another really interesting statistic. Again, a lot of the misconceptions in this market say, oh, you know, the price is so volatile, it goes up, it goes down, it goes left, it goes right, and it does. But stop thinking about the yearly highs, stop thinking about the huge price spikes, and just take a look at some charts and zoom out a little bit. You know, you look at the last 3, 4, 5 years on a lot of these coins, and the bottom price each year is increasing as the market moves forward, and you can't really deny that. So, you know, if you have some money that you're looking to spend in the market and you want to invest in these coins, please think of it as a slightly longer term play. As we advise all our clients, you know, you need to be looking at a minimum really of 3 to 5 years, unless you're a trader and you want to kind of get in and get out. Of course, that's a very different thing, but longer term basis, all the numbers look great for this sector as it continues to move forward, and it's a really exciting space. So moving on to what this is, again, it's more stuff about Ethereum. I think they've put a few articles together here about similar topics. So the Ethereum Foundation, again, moving to Ethereum 2.0. So again, we're going to do some videos about what that is in more detail as we go along, because a lot of people have been asking us for some specifics on Ethereum 2. But basically, it's better than Ethereum 1, and it's going to make what is already very, very good even better. So it's generally going to be great news for a lot of people. So again, here, I think this is the price of Ethereum. So again, we can see it was pretty shaky down here at the bottom, and it kind of bottomed out. We had some nice little peaks along the way, so we got up to about $225 in February, and then of course things kind of crashed back down with Corona and everything in March, as the rest of the market does. But pretty much since the lows there of March 17, when we got down to about $110, we've now just continued to move up. So I mean, if you'd have bought in March, the middle of March, March 16th, March 17th in 2020, $110. What's that? March, April, May, June, July, August. So 4-5 months, you'd have pretty much made as good as 350% on your money. It's kind of wild. And that's why so many people are attracted to crypto, because these opportunities happen all the time. This isn't just a one-off. So Ethereum's had the same type of run, you know, Bitcoin has. It's a really, really cool space to be right now. So markets are looking pretty damn healthy there. So let's move on from Ethereum and see what else the boys have got in store for us. Aha, so Putin. So what has Russia been up to? So Putin signs laws giving cryptocurrency legal status in Russia. Okay, so this is the first time I've seen this article, so let's dig into it a little bit deeper. Russians' bill to regulate cryptocurrency has been signed into law by Mr. Putin. The new law gives legal status to cryptocurrency, but prohibits its use as a means of payment. Okay, so let's try and see if we can get behind this a little bit. So again, Bitcoin.com, pretty decent place to get news. Not too, you know, one way or the other. It's a pretty fair place to get some information. So they've sent a bill about transactions, and I think this is a definition that it's recognized as a digital currency cannot be used at the same time to pay for any goods and services. Okay. So it looks like they're trying to ban it for payment, which is curious, but they're happy to recognize it as a legal asset. Very curious. Okay, so this doesn't give us too much information. Curious. Okay, so I think if I remember rightly, obviously this is the first time I've seen this article, but floating around from other things I've seen around this is, I think if I remember rightly, forgive me or please correct me in the comments if I've got this wrong, but I think that what this law does is it makes cryptocurrency illegally, as far as legal terms go in Russia, a property, or the same type of classification as a property. So you can't obviously use a house to go and buy a car. Maybe that's a poor example, but if it's classed as a property, you can't use it for trading services of selling and buying goods, but it is a store of value, it is taxable, it is a legally recognized thing. So I think that's what Russia's trying to do here. So that's quite curious, because obviously Bitcoin is of course designed to be a form of payment. In some respects, you can argue whether or not that is the case, or whether it's just now becoming a much better store of value, which also certainly has some merit behind that logic. But really here, I think what we're now seeing is large countries such as Russia, you know, the onset of Bitcoin and crypto is just so prevalent now. As we're 10 years into the sector, governments are no longer in a position where they can avoid this. So kind of giving a little bit of insight on my side here, I was asked to go to Brussels to meet with some EU MEPs only recently, just in March before Corona hit, to effectively give my advice and expertise to the EU advisors there as to how organizations at central governments can start using this technology to start making their own benefits for, be it products, laws, regulations, mandates, all this type of stuff. So it was really, really interesting, the type of things that were going on there. So it makes no surprise to me whatsoever that Russia is starting to make specific laws about this. I very much imagine other countries are going to follow as they try to kind of tackle and get to grips with cryptocurrency. And the big kind of issue here is that cryptocurrency is a new thing and it doesn't really fit in the little boxes that they have. You know, a stock and a share is this and a property is this. These new digital tokens, some of them are money, some of them are not, some of them are more digital shares, some of them are utility tokens. All of these kind of differences make classing cryptocurrency, again, cryptocurrency is a really stupid word. It should really be called crypto shares or crypto tokens, because not all of the coins, there's over 5,000 coins now, not all of them are currencies in the way that the average person understands currency. It's just a nomenclature, which is kind of difficult to wrap your head around. Bitcoin was the first, therefore people called all the rest of them cryptocurrencies because Bitcoin itself was a currency, and it kind of stuck. So again, there's some confusion there around the semantics, but this is what we're now going to see, that the big governments, banks, industries, private entities around the world are going to be forced to find ways to adapt cryptocurrency and blockchain technologies as things move forward, and a lot of that is going to be the laws and the mandates and the regulatory bodies that are going to be involved with that. So a lot of people often ask me and they go, hey Josh, are you not, you know, a Bitcoin maximalist? Do you think that, you know, the Bitcoin's going to replace the dollar? And you know that's a huge topic that I'm sure we can make a video on particularly. But what I think the average person sometimes misses, and also what the super hardcore crypto Bitcoin hardcore person misses, is that in order for more people to use crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain, we want people to be able to trust it. And whether you like it or not, there's a lot of people that don't trust it. Now, a lot of that is because they don't understand it, and education just takes time, and that's why we like to do these videos and get the word out there as best we can, put our shoulders to the wheel in helping people to get educated in this space. But really, more than that, a lot of people struggle to kind of realize that if, say, the banks or a big commercial company starts using their own coins or their own other things, people inherently automatically trust those regulations. I mean, you can kind of say, okay, Josh, people don't trust the banks, and there's probably some truth in that too, but the average person is going to be quite happy leaving tens of thousands of pounds in a bank but the average person at this point probably wouldn't dream of leaving £10,000 in Bitcoin because of XYZ reason of their choice, even though if they're educated, to some extent, Bitcoin is much safer. So what that leaves us with is a trust gap. And if all these big institutions of the world, be it private, be it these public organizations, start using these mechanisms, it's very easy for the average person on the street to go, that bank is now using some type of blockchain technology, and Bitcoin's blockchain technology, so it can't be that bad. Or if a big bank was to publicly start using a coin, imagine if a bank comes out and says, okay, here's your normal sort code and account number, and here's your Bitcoin wallet address. Then all of a sudden, everyone, say, that was using Santander in an example, or NatWest, or HSBC, or Bank of America, or whoever, if any bank came out with this, then automatically everyone that used that bank would automatically go, well, if they think it's a good idea, it's not too much of a stretch for me to think it's a good idea. And that would massively increase adoption. So for all we can have a nuanced argument about, Bitcoin was designed to go against the banking system, designed to give people control, and all of those things I hear, and I very much am passionate about those things too. But the reality of the situation is until people get well enough educated that they can make those informed decisions for themselves, if we want large-scale, quick adoption, it's probably going to come through classical places of trust, adopting blockchain, that then the average person can kind of inherit that trust through a second-hand mechanism. Which is why I'm not necessarily opposed to the banks and governments getting involved in this stuff, even though morally, in regards to where the technology came from, you can of course understand some people don't like that, and again, it's got its pros, it's got its cons, it's not a straight line. I'm not overjoyed by the fact that these things are happening, but it's a case of being balanced and realistic to the environment. I just want as many people to use this technology as I can, because I think it's a fantastic alternative to the system, and the more people that know about it, the better. And if that's through the system in the beginning and they go their own way down the line, great. So it's an interesting thing. So yeah, Russia making the legal status of Bitcoin now a property. I think this article doesn't say that, so again, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're trying to kind of put a square peg in a circle hole, and that's been happening in crypto for a long time, and things will become more and more clear as countries, governments and organizations make specific laws and regulations on each one. So yeah, so there you go. So, and then to conclude, this is the last one, I think. So here we go. So Cash App for comment: Joe Rogan tells 200 million listeners to buy Bitcoin. Well, Mr. Joe Rogan, what can I say? Personally, I'm a massive fan of Joe Rogan. I think his podcasts are incredible. He's been doing them about 10 years plus now, I believe. And it's just I really appreciate what he's done for the sector. I think when I'm traveling around from meetings to meetings, I'll often have some type of Joe Rogan podcast on, from listening to this person, that person, to all these other people. It's just a really great range of guests he's got on there. So I don't doubt there's anyone watching me that's not heard of Joe Rogan, but if you've not, I definitely implore you to check out some of his stuff. His podcasts are available everywhere. No matter who you like, what your political beliefs are, there'll be something on there for you, because he interviews so many amazing people. So one of the things which he does, of course, because it's he owns the thing, it's his thing, he makes money from it, is he sometimes have adverts. And one of the adverts which has been there, some sponsored, is there's a company in America called the Cash App. It's a very easy way to do finance on your phone, and one of the things that they do is they make it very easy to buy and sell Bitcoin. So for months and months and months now, Joe has been sponsored by this company. So in the opening titles of some of his podcasts and stuff, he'll talk about the Cash App, and it always made me laugh, because I thought, well, that's all his listeners are hearing about the Cash App, and they're hearing about Bitcoin, which is great. But this was really interesting, because not only was he talking about the app in this instance, he basically ended up really telling people to get involved with Bitcoin in quite a direct way. So this is kind of the difference. Instead of him just going, hey, we're sponsored by the Cash App, guys, it's really easy to buy Bitcoin, get yourself some Bitcoin, he's kind of released a bit more detail about it, which is curious, because it was obvious from listening to some of his stuff, he's a fan of this type of stuff anyway. But what's been really exciting here is that he kind of made some quite strong, personal comments about it. And again, as we said, from the trust from the banks, people really love Joe. They trust him a lot. If he thinks some stuff's a good idea, I'm sure a lot of his listeners will do too. So the fact that he went above a sponsorship and kind of has obviously got into this world himself a little bit as well, and he's literally said here, I love it, I wish it was the way we exchange currency, and maybe it'll be the future, get on board. So it was really interesting how he's said here, it's a transformational digital currency, decentralized peer-to-peer payment network provided by its users with no central authority. So this is probably a bit of script here from the Cash App sponsorship, I imagine. But ultimately, a lot of kind of public people are doing this now, and Joe's podcast is massive. It's a 200 million people supposedly listening to him, which is a kind of unfathomably large number. So when there's an argument internally whether Joe is now classed as mainstream by the sheer size of his audience. I would probably argue something differently, but the point is many people are listening to him, and he's a very, very influential figure, both financially, politically, just by the exposure that he has with all the viewpoints that he shares. And for someone to kind of make such direct comments about things on a personal recommendation is really, really big news. Very, very few people in the world would be able to do that. So lots of his listeners come from all sorts of different backgrounds, and I'm sure there's people there that might just put 50 quid or $50 in Bitcoin just to kind of see what happens. And with $200 million people doing that, of course not everybody is, but even a small fraction of people that choose to do that and choose to get on board, we're going to see an effect in the market to some extent. So really, really exciting stuff that people are talking about this now. So it was really nice to hear that. I think I was listening to the podcast actually at the time that this happened, and it kind of brought a little smile to my face. So yeah, get involved. Crypto is a very, very exciting space. There's loads and loads to learn. So I think that pretty much concludes what's going on here. So I guess the takeaways from this little thing are there's always more to these articles that is going on behind closed doors. There's some really exciting things happening in the space. There always has been for many, many years, but now these things are becoming the forefront again of quote unquote normal media publications. And I don't doubt any time at all, if the market continues to move forward in this vein, that we're going to start seeing the price of Bitcoin on the morning news shows and the kind of 10 o'clock news is, as we historically did in 2017 when the whole world started talking about it. Whereas this time, when that happens, we're so much further down the line in adoption that the amount of people that are going to get involved is going to be amazing. And then combining that with institutional investment, which we didn't have in 2017, as the big players, banks, hedge funds, huge entities weren't really able to participate in the space the same. Now they can. So when the market moves this time, the market's really going to move, as if it didn't already for the first time. So it's just a really, really exciting place to be. And you've probably seen a lot of my stuff, and I just love talking about all of this in many different ways. So if you've got any suggestions for how we can improve this type of segment, so obviously we're just trying to try some new things here on the channel to get some information out there to you. I want to try and be as helpful as I can, not just about crypto mining, which of course is our expertise, but wider than that as well. We want to be able to help people get into many different aspects of this and not get burnt with the scam watch segments and all these other things. So if you'd like to kind of give us any nice criticisms or suggestions for how we can improve this, more than happy to take those. We want to be as best as we can for you. So give us a little like, subscribe, perhaps share this with other people in your network if you think this has been really useful. Maybe you can suggest some articles or things that I can give some reactions to moving forward. And hopefully you found this really enjoyable, and we can't wait to see you again in the next episode. So trade safe, take care, and I'll speak to you all soon.